and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
And movies that had stories.
That the story just sucks them in.
This is just the beginning.
Stories. We would be honored if you would join us.
Greetings and welcome to A Film Story Short. We're going to briefly look today at one of the best 80s films never to get a remake, and also an early pioneer in CG. That's The Last Starfighter, an overlooked 1984 science fiction film which tells the story of a young kid from a trailer park who gets to be amazing at playing this arcade game. But it's not an arcade game, it's actually a simulation that is part of a network designed to find the galaxy's best starfighter, because only he can save the universe. It's a kind of sword in the stone story, but it was chiefly known at the time for its early use of computer-generated effects. So it doesn't get the same credit as Tron, which is normally the film that people think of when they think of early computer-generated effects, although Westworld was the very first film to ever use a CG effect back in 1972. But generally people think about Tron, and The Last Starfighter kind of gets pushed out to the fringes. But it was the first film to use 3D graphics to portray photo quality reality. That's quite a target for 1984 when you think about it. I mean, remember that with Tron, as amazing as the effects in Tron are, Tron was attempting to depict an alternate reality, the grid. So The Last Starfighter included 27 minutes of CG, and Ron Cobb was in charge. He was the production designer. He was in charge of the design work. He previously had done some uncredited work on Star Wars. He'd worked on Raiders and Night Skies, the first darker version of E.T., which reportedly Spielberg even offered him the chance to direct. But Cobb was committed to production work on Conan the Barbarian, and Spielberg eventually, as I'm sure you know, elected to direct a revised version of E.T. himself. Anyway, Cobb's team did the calculations. They had a Cray XMP supercomputer, a serious piece of hardware for back then. And when they calculated how long it would take them to complete the shots using this supercomputer, it was 17 months. They had 6. The deadline was 6. So at this point, the special effects coordinator, Jeffrey Oken, spoke to the producers and advised them to fire Cobb's team, to kick them off the project, bring in a miniatures team and do practical effects with miniatures. Lots of this information can be found in the public domain, although Lane Myer has compiled lots of it in his 80s anthology, 80 from the 80s, which I'll pop the link for below. To their credit, the producers declined to go that way and stuck with Cobb's team. This was important not only for the film that we finally got, but also because it marked a really important milestone in the era of CG, because that film was completed eventually on time. They had to make some concessions with the effects, and they didn't achieve that photorealism. If YouTube's content ID lets me, I'll make sure I put something up so you can see what I'm talking about. But it still came in on budget. It still came in on time, and it had some, for the time, for the era, fairly impressive effects. Anyway, the film even came out in 1984 to some really, really fierce competition. Temple of Doom, Gremlins, Ghostbusters all launched that summer, and at the point it came out, The Last Starfighter, Gremlins and Ghostbusters were still going strong and topping the box office. So The Last Starfighter struggled. It did in the end recoup its budget, but it didn't make the kind of Star Wars money that Universal were hoping it would, and plans for a sequel were quietly put away. In more recent times, Seth Rogen has been very vocal about trying to get the rights. When he couldn't get them, Spielberg stepped in himself, and Spielberg tried to get the rights, but even Spielberg failed. Right? And if Steven Spielberg can't get the rights to something, then they probably can't be got. The rights apparently still belong to the original writer of the first project, Jonathan Betuel, who reportedly is not interested in any kind of remake. But you never know. I mean, we mentioned Westworld and Tron, and they've, in recent years, both had their own remakes done on TV and in cinema, respectively, so you never know. Cross your fingers, Last Starfighter fans. And who knows what will happen. That's been A Film Story Short. We'll see you again soon with another film story. Please do subscribe, leave a comment. We're a new channel. We're small. It really does help. We'll see you soon. Thank you.